Hello, my name is Josh Rogowski, and today we have a presentation on the Beatles with Scotty McGuire. Hello. My name is Scotty McGuire. And I've known the Beatles since I was a wee little lad, just a little small. And they were my favorite band, best music. And as you all know, everything has a start and end. And this right here was the Beatles start. Started in 1957 when John Lennon started his first band called the Blackjacks, which he later changed to the 4A Men after the high school he went to. Then, in the summer of 1957, John met Paul McCartney after a performance at a church. And Paul McCartney, of course, joined the choir. Then, 1958, John started wanting to play rock and roll, causing the banjo player to say, I don't really want to play rock and roll. I mean, banjo, rock and roll doesn't mesh. So he left, letting George Harrison, one of Paul McCartney's good friends, a guitar player, joined the band. Then, in 1959, the Quarrymen broke up, and George made his own band called Les Stewart Quartet, while John and Paul McCartney still worked together on writing music. Then, in 1959, the Les Stewart Quartet broke up, and George got together with John and Paul and started performing at the Casper Coffee Club in Liverpool. Then, in 1960, the band went to a place in Germany called Kaiserkeller, where they met Ringo Starr, who was playing with Roy Storm and the Hurricanes, and Ringo decided to join the band. Then, late in 1960, John agreed to name the band the Beatles. Then, later, 1960, John and Paul and George and Ringo all were playing at a place called the Top 10 Club, angering that employer. Then, the very end of 1960, George Harrison was charged for illegally working at a nightclub, and Paul McCartney was charged for starting a fire. So they all went back to Liverpool in England and joined back together, and they finally had it. We are the Beatles. Then, as I said, John and Paul, even after the Quarrymen broke up, they worked together on writing music. Even when the Beatles worked together, they still were the ones writing most of the music, making most of the songs. And what they did was, one of them, or both of them, whoever wrote a good song, nice song, good beat, and brought it to rehearsals first, the band got to play it and even sometimes make it their own. Like, Come Together was one of their songs. John could have brought it and said, hey, here's a song, Come Together. And everybody thought he was going to say, yeah, that's better than Paul McCartney's song that he just brought 5 minutes ago. Okay, now we're going on to each and every Beatle. Every Beatle had their own record. They were all good in their own different way. Paul McCartney, his full name was Sir James Paul McCartney, and he was an entrepreneur. He was a painter, a writer, a film and record producer, and an animal rights and peace activist, and many other things. And he had worldwide fame from being in the band of the Beatles. He was in the band Wings that he made with his wife, and he was one of the most successful songwriters in history. Then we go to John Lennon. His full name was John Winston Ono Lennon after he married Yoko Ono, who was his most loved wife, and he took her last name and put it into his name, kind of weird. He was a musician, songwriter, peace activist, author, and also gained worldwide fame from being in the Beatles. He did many things and had many titles in the Rolling Stones Top 100, the Greatest Britain and Songwriters Hall of Fame. Then we go over to George Harrison, also known as the Quiet People. He did many different things. He was a singer, songwriter, and also gained worldwide fame from being into the Beatles. He was also in a band called the Traveling Wilburys with many famous guitar players and famous people that some of you probably heard about, such as Bob Dylan, Jeff Lynne, Roy Orbison, who started the Traveling Wilburys, and Tom Petty, a very good famous guitar player. Now we go over to Ringo Starr, who was a musician, songwriter, actor, and the drummer for the Beatles. He says sometimes, "I'm your basic offbeat drummer with funny fills." And fill in drumming is kind of when you have a part that you're playing and then you kind of stop. You have a fill in there. And he, believe it or not, was the lead singer in With a Little Help from My Friends, Yellow Submarine, which all of you probably know, Don't Pass Me By, and my favorite, Octopus's Garden. Now, as I said, everything has its end. This was the Beatles' end. The Beatles had many reasons for breaking up. And believe it or not, they didn't just have one big argument and broke up. All the little problems started in 1966. One problem was some of them were depressed for a while. They were down, and so they had trouble writing music. Also, when John met Yoko Ono, he sometimes paid more attention to her instead of the Beatles. Then they were struggling to write music, as I said, because they were depressed and they just couldn't do it. Then, also at one point, John and Yoko started doing drugs. That messed up how John could think, because he was one of the ones who really wrote the music and played. Also, Brian Epstein died. Brian Epstein was, I'd say, the best manager, and he all kept them safe. He made sure they were doing everything right and they were doing good. So when he died, that led to them choosing not very good decisions. And only Paul McCartney was really the one who was really enthusiastic about writing music and playing music. And also, the Beatles changed the world. How they changed the world was after they brought a new type of music into the world after they started playing, and after World War II, they started cheering people up because of all those sad events such as the Holocaust. They cheered everybody up. I know it sounds like a long time, 20 years, wow, but they still really cheered people up because that was a really bad thing that happened. Now, everybody loves the Beatles music. If you've heard them, they're a really good band. And some people prefer records better than CDs. And the record is over, I don't know where it is, but record looks like whatever it looks like. Oh, right here. Right here. This is a Wings record. As I said, it was one of Paul McCartney's bands. And the problem with records, though, when people like to listen to them, they like to sound better. But the problem is they could get warped, or they could get a little messed up and scratched, so they don't play or they stop. And if you've heard a broken record, it just goes like da 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 da. Really annoying, right? So I'll stop. But now this is my record cleaner. I haven't named it, but it is a record cleaner and player, and it has different levels. Each level, you put it in and the door is 5. The first level is it cleans it and scrubs it down to get all the dust off it, and then the second level is where it's heated and it could be unwarped. If it got melted into the little groove, it fixes that, and it may not completely fix the scratches because it doesn't have the track that they recorded, because if it had an earthquake, if you've seen it makes those little lines. That's kind of what they use to make the record, and it goes over the vibrations. It makes the vibrations, and so that it may not completely fix it, but it'll keep it from